I've known Jake since we were in 6th grade. He's one of those friends who just becomes family over time. I was always over at his place, eating dinner, crashing on the couch, even tagging along on family trips sometimes. His mom, Melissa, was always nice to me, the kind of cool mom who jokes around and talks to you like an adult. I never thought anything of it. She was just Jake's mom. After his parents divorced last year, I noticed she changed a bit. Not in a dramatic way, but she seemed more put together. Started working out, got her hair done more often, wore nicer clothes around the house, even when it was just us. Still, I didn't think much of it. I just assumed she was going through that finding herself phase after a messy breakup. Then, one random afternoon, I got a text from her. At first, it was nothing out of the ordinary. She said, "Hey, can you remind Jake to take out the trash? He always forgets." I laughed, sent in the message, and replied with a thumbs up. A few days later, another text. "You left your charger here again. I'll keep it safe this time." It felt normal. Mom stuff. Then it got a little different. She sent a meme. Something about how guys never grow up, and I responded with a laughing emoji. That led to a short back and forth that was a little too flirty to be accidental. She called me charming, and when I joked about it, she said, "Well, it's true. You're a handsome young man." I froze for a second. That wasn't the kind of thing a mom says to her kid's best friend. I didn't know what to say, so I just replied with, "Haha, thanks." But after that, I noticed the messages didn't stop. She would text me at night, sometimes just can't sleep, or today was rough. I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I wasn't flirting back. At least I didn't think I was. But there was something about the attention. It felt good. One night, she sent me a selfie. Nothing inappropriate. Just her in a hoodie, laying in bed, no makeup, hair up. But she looked good. I stared at it for a second too long before replying. "You look nice," I typed. I erased it. Then typed, "Tired?" She replied, "Long day. But thanks. You're sweet." That word. Sweet. I don't know why, but it sat in my head for the rest of the night. I told myself it was harmless. Jake would never suspect anything anyway. He was too busy with his new girlfriend to notice what his mom and I were texting about. I wasn't trying to do anything wrong. At least, that's what I kept telling myself. But then she sent a message that changed the tone completely. It was around midnight. She wrote, "You're not like other guys your age. You actually listen." That's when I knew this wasn't normal anymore. And I couldn't pretend I didn't feel something shifting between us. The next few days, I tried to act like nothing had changed. I kept my responses short, stuck to basic stuff, and even avoided going over to Jake's place. But Melissa didn't back off. Her messages got more frequent and more personal. She asked if I was seeing anyone, then followed up with, "A guy like you must have girls chasing after him." I told her I was just focusing on school and work. She replied, "Their loss." It didn't feel like just a compliment. It felt intentional. And I'd be lying if I said it didn't get to me. She was beautiful. Not in the teenage crush way. She carried herself like she knew exactly who she was. Confident. Mature. And there was this thrill about it all, something I couldn't shake. I started replying more often, even initiating a few texts myself. Harmless stuff at first, but it didn't stay that way. One night she told me she couldn't sleep again, and I asked why. She said, "Because I keep thinking about things I probably shouldn't." I didn't ask what she meant. I didn't have to. I just stared at the message, heart pounding. I replied, "Like what?" She didn't answer for a while. Then she sent, "You." That was the first moment I felt panic. I typed out 3 different responses before settling on, "That's dangerous." She replied, "I know." And then, "But you make me feel something I haven't felt in years." That one hit different. I had no idea what to do with it. I was flattered. I was excited. But I was also confused because Jake was still my best friend, and this was his mom. It was wrong. Every part of me knew that. But I still didn't stop. She started opening up more. Told me about the divorce, how her ex had cheated, how she felt invisible for years. How she used to cry herself to sleep until recently. I told her I was sorry, that she didn't deserve that. She said, "You're the only one who's said that to me." I was starting to feel like I was in something I didn't ask for, but also didn't want to leave. Then came the photo. It was late. I was up gaming. She sent a message. Could use a distraction. Then the picture followed. She was in her kitchen, tank top, no bra, holding a glass of wine. It wasn't full-on provocative, but it was enough to make me stare way too long. I didn't know if it was a mistake or deliberate. But when I said, "You look amazing," she responded instantly, "You're trouble." At that point, I stopped pretending it was innocent. I wasn't just replying. I was invested. I checked my phone constantly, thinking about her, even when I was with Jake. I knew it was reckless. I knew I was playing with fire. But I couldn't bring myself to walk away. Because every message from her made me feel wanted, and that was something I didn't even realize I'd been missing. It happened on a Saturday. Jake had gone out of town with his girlfriend for the weekend, and Melissa texted me in the afternoon asking if I could help her move some boxes in the garage. I hesitated. Every part of me knew what this really was. But I still said, "Sure, I'll come by after dinner." I told myself I'd just help and leave. Nothing more. When I got there, she opened the door with a look that said everything before a word was spoken. Tight shirt, light perfume, casual smile, but her eyes gave it away. There was no talk about boxes. We sat in the living room and made small talk until she said, "I've missed talking to you in person." I tried to joke it off. She didn't laugh. She looked straight at me and said, "Do you ever think about me the way I think about you?" I didn't answer right away. My mouth was dry. My heart was racing. I nodded. Slowly. That was enough. She moved closer. There was a pause, like we were both daring the other to back down. Neither of us did. It started with a kiss. That kiss turned into more. I won't go into details, but it crossed every line I had told myself I wouldn't. She was soft and warm and deliberate. Everything felt unreal. There was no awkwardness, no hesitation, just years of pent-up emotion and two people who knew they shouldn't be doing what they were doing, and did it anyway. Afterward, we sat there in silence. I could hear the hum of the fridge, the distant sound of traffic, the weight of what we had just done. She leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, "That wasn't a mistake." I didn't respond, because I didn't know what it was. All I knew was that I had just crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. I left not long after, still in a daze. I didn't sleep that night. I just stared at the ceiling, trying to convince myself it didn't mean anything, that it was a one-time thing. But I knew better. And when she texted me the next morning, "You okay?" I didn't know how to answer. I left it on read. For the next few days, I avoided her. I ignored the texts, didn't go over to Jake's, made excuses. I felt sick. Not just guilty, confused. There was a part of me that wanted to go back to that night and feel that rush again. And another part that wanted to take the whole thing back and pretend it never happened. Jake had no idea. Still treated me like a brother. Still trusted me. That was the worst part. I had betrayed him in a way that couldn't ever be fixed. And deep down, I knew this wasn't over. Not yet. I managed to avoid Melissa for a couple weeks. Ignored the late-night messages, didn't go near Jake's place, and buried myself in school and work. But silence doesn't erase reality. Eventually, something had to give, and it did. Jake and I were hanging out like nothing had changed, watching a game, just the usual. Then his phone buzzed. He picked it up, laughed, and said, "My mom just texted me by accident. She meant to send this to someone else." He handed me the phone, still smiling. I looked at the screen. It was a message from Melissa that read, "Wish last time could happen again. Can't stop thinking about it." My stomach dropped. My mouth went dry. I forced a laugh and handed the phone back. "Weird," I said. "She probably meant it for some guy she's seeing." Jake shrugged and moved on, but I knew that was it. The beginning of the end. 2 days later, I got a call. Not a text. A call. From Melissa. I let it ring. Then a message came through. "He knows. We need to talk." I met her at a park the next day. Her eyes were red, mascara smudged. "Jake found my text to you," she said. "He saw the photos." Everything. I couldn't speak. He's furious. He doesn't want to see either of us ever again. I wanted to apologize, but the words felt hollow. What was I supposed to say? That I didn't mean for this to happen? That it wasn't her fault? That I missed her? Jake blocked me on everything. Group chats, socials, even our gaming accounts. Just like that, one of the longest friendships I'd ever had was gone. And it was my fault. Not just because of what I did with Melissa, but because I let it happen. I wanted it to happen. Melissa stopped reaching out after that day. Maybe she felt guilty too. Maybe it just hurt too much. Either way, the silence between us became permanent. I kept telling myself it was for the best. That some lines, once crossed, don't lead anywhere good. A few months passed. I tried to move on. Dated a bit, kept busy, but nothing really stuck. The guilt sat in the background like a constant hum, always reminding me what I lost. Then one night, out of nowhere, a message popped up. Just 5 words. I still think about that. It was her. No name, no follow-up, just that. I stared at the screen for a long time. I didn't reply. I didn't delete it either. Some mistakes come with clean endings. Others just linger, quiet, heavy, and unfinished. What I had with Melissa wasn't love. Maybe it wasn't even real, but it changed everything. And no matter how far I get from it, part of me will always remember exactly how it felt. Because some things you don't forget, and some you're not supposed to.